we are going to be making a 3-yard quilt out of the book Quilts on the Double by Fabric Café. And the quilt that I have selected is this one right here. I've got my fabric and I've already figured out how I want to lay it out, and I am going to stick to the throw size. So let me show you what I'm doing. Anyway, what I'm going to do with this is, okay, so it's called Broad Strokes is the pattern I'm doing. I'm going to make the darker color, which is fabric 3, the solid, the green. Fabric number 2, which they've got as the lighter color, or the wider strip, is going to be the plaid. And then fabric 1 is going to be this, which is the focal fabric in the bigger squares. So let's start cutting. I have taken the long strips and sewn on each side of it the small skinny strip. So now what's left is to subcut that. So this says it's going to be 5.5. Okay, it is. I'm just off right there. So let's get something smaller. Actually, let's do this. I am brave. Again, I'm offsetting these a little bit so that the bulk is not all in one place. And I got selvage edge up here. I'm just gonna make sure I wanted enough. I did. Okay, now it says by 10.5, which actually is the same as this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.5. We did it right. Okay, so to make 15 of those. One, two, three. We're gonna make sets of these. So all of these are gonna get a buddy. All right, so as I was going through lining these blocks up to sew them on, because of the stripe that I have, I tried to cut them all very similarly. And so then as I pieced them together, I also tried to do the same. So in general, the goal was that my pieces will flow, and they're going to be a little off like that. What happens? Anyway, let's press these open and then lay them out and make our rows. We are pressed. And now, if you look at the picture, we're going to lay 3 blocks side by side and then change the orientation on the next row, just flipping it. And you just make rows of 3 blocks. Basically, they're starting with this block, so let's make it look just like theirs. And then the next row is reversed. So basically, I'm going to sew rows that look just like this, rows of 3. And that's the layout. So we've actually got almost half of it laid out right here, because this particular blanket is only going to be, it will be 45 by 59. It can be bigger based off of borders, but this is a blanket, or a baby size or small throw quilt. So anyway, I'm going to be making 5 rows of this, and then flipping the rows like this, every other one, and assembling all 5, and then all that's left is the borders. All right, there are my 5 rows laid up on my design board over top of my other projects. They've not been sewn together yet, but that is the layout. So now I'm going to sew them together and start putting borders on it. Okay, so this is what we look like. So it's basically what you saw a minute ago, but it's got its seams now. So now what we're gonna do is the binding, or sorry, borders. Now, one thing I did different than the pattern calls for is I did not cut all of my borders out because I have some extra fabric and I wanted to maybe make it just a little bit bigger. So here's my leftover pieces. This is the fabric that would be the first border. And then look at this. I found this in my stash. Wouldn't this be cute for the back? I kind of think it might be too much. You guys will have to tell me in the comments what you think about that being added to this quilt. I'm not going to finish it for a little bit, so you'll have time to comment and have some influence on that. So let me know. I think it's really cute, but it might be too much. So anyway, that's what that is. Okay, so back to this. So the way you find out what you need is you're going to measure in the center of the quilt. Now I've got this folded in half. So we're going to measure from here to here. The reason you measure in the middle is because the edges can stretch. And this way, no matter what it says, you can make it be this size and it will keep it square. So we are at 36 and a half. There seems to be a pen shortage. And we're going to do the same thing the other way. It's a lot easier to do this when it's on the wall, although this is a small quilt, so I'm doing it here, but it is a lot easier not in front of you. Okay, so here's my center right here. All right, so I do have my binding and one of the borders cut out already. But as far as how much of the green and how much of those, I'm not sure. Okay, so typically what you do is you start with the short edge, so the top and the bottom, to put your border on, and then you put your sides on from there. Because it's already so long, we don't need to make it longer. So that's a really good reason why. Okay, so what I have right here, let's just look at their picture. Now, when you get to borders, you pretty much could do whatever you want. In fact, you can as you're doing this anyway. But what they have done is they've taken this center fabric, which in my case is the plaid, and they've used that as the same fabric as their first outside border. And then the contrasting color, which in my case would be the green, would be the outer border. And this is what I have room to make wider because I have quite a bit of fabric there for that. So the trick to this is to join your seams, and you do not have to join them with a mitered edge. You definitely will want to when it comes time to doing your binding, because you have so much fabric and so much bulk folding over. It is a lot, but you're not going to notice it here. In fact, it'll lay flatter and not be as noticeable because of the fact that we do have some different things going on. Now, I tried to be kind of consistent in how I cut these. See how those two are going to go together pretty good? Same with this. I lucked out that the pattern happened to work really well with this width of a strip. Okay, so I'm going to make one really big long piece and then cut my first two pieces at 36.5 and put them on the top and on the bottom. All right, there's one border. Now we're gonna put the green on the outside, and I'm gonna see how big I can go because I have quite a bit. But the point is, I have this much of this. See, wouldn't that be cute with a wider border? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm gonna make these 5-inch borders. And actually they have 3.5 inches, so I'm just a little bit wider, but I think that's the way to go. Let's do 5-inch borders, and we're going to double it. I'm so used to working in a small space, I kind of just instinctively cut this way. I don't have to anymore, but it is efficient. Where's my rotary cutter? All right, actually the width of this is 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, that makes 8 strips. I think we should try 6 inches, so let's try it. It's gonna be really wide. I don't care. I'm gonna try it. All right, so I think I'm actually tempted to put white right now up and then add this. I don't know. All right, so there's 6 pieces right there and a little extra that I'm going to hold on to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5, and see if I need to cut into that, and if I do, I have extra. So this is what I had left over from the inner border with 6 strips, and that's why 6 strips I think will work with this, because we're going just a little bit farther. I know this math might not make sense. So, okay, I'm just rambling right now. Here's all my scraps, which I will save until I'm completely done, and then maybe make a little pillow or something out of it, or that will go into an orphan block quilt. Okay, so just like before, I'm going to cut these salvage ends off, stitch them together. I am going to do a straight stitch. You can do diagonal. Again, the biggest reason for that is when you're doing a binding, it is super, super bulky to have a straight stitch on your binding because it's already doubled, and then you're going around it and you're getting 4 to 6 layers of fabric that is doubled. Did that make any sense? So we're not doing anything like that, so that's why a straight seam will work on this. I'm just trying to line up my salvages so I can trim them all at once, and something is goofy. So, and these didn't line up to use the fold, so, and it's thick enough. I probably should do 2 piles. Oh. Aha. All right, so the salvage edge is actually, even though you see white at the very end, the salvage edge is actually out to here because you can see the little dots. That's how they fed it on the machine. Now, this one, the back side of it happens to line up just that way, so you can see, but it's not just cutting the white off, it's cutting that whole part off. So we should be fine with this. Okay. Let's sew these together and sew them on. What do you think? I know it's hard to see, but here's the bottom. I think that big white border looks really cute. I am done with the quilt. My finished size after it's all said and done is 50.5 by 65. This is going to be my binding. I was able to make 2 1/4 out of this. A lot of times their binding could be as little as 1 1/2, just depending on what fabric's left over and how you would use it. Because I have extra fabric, I wasn't worried about it, but I did use all that I had with the exception of this. But anyway, 2 1/4 is going to be perfect for this, and I think it will tie everything together very nicely. And I'm only putting these here because these are my leftover pieces, but the reason it's here, oh, by the way, I still had 1 whole strip of that outer border. I only needed 5. And I have a little extra. That is okay. Anyway, I want to know what you think about putting this on the back of that. Do you think it would be too busy? Because there's really not enough of a break in, I don't know, do you think it needs to be solid on the back? If so, I was thinking maybe minky, maybe like a light minky. Let's go look at the board, but with this fabric. Isn't that cute? And now that I do this, I realize it probably, no, it'll work. It will work. Yep, I have 4 of this length. I have enough. But what do you think? Let's pin this up here. I want to see it. That's a lot of fabric to hold up there. I think it might work. I'm really torn though. Give me your input, yes or no. And by the way, those are little bees that are on that, on the back, the little hints of yellow. So kind of cute. I'm still kind of leaning towards a solid if I don't do that. And I don't know exactly what I have in my stash. Something maybe in the blue, like a blue or green or white. I'm gonna give up. I don't know. Please leave comments in the comments below and stick around for more quilts. Have a great day, guys. Bye.